Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last new player guide for the Scarlet Keys. Last year for Edge of the Earth, we ended with the Mystic, Norman Withers, and today we're going to be ending with the Mystic, Amina Zidane, the Operator. This deck was built by Travis using only the Scarlet Keys Investigator expansion and the revised core set, so no cards from outside of that will be included. This is to give you a nice, simple focus, especially if you're just starting out and you might only have a smaller collection. We're not going to be talking about other cards, but if you have questions about other cards, consider asking in the comments down below. Before I get further into this, you might have heard of something called the Taboo List. This deck is built without that in mind. Just play with the cards as printed. It's just easier and better and happier for everyone involved. Amina Zidane, 3s across the board. She soaks for 5 and 9. She is chosen and cursed, and as a reaction, so her ability is as a reaction when you play an asset, you can reduce its resource cost by 3. It enters play with 1 Doom on it, limit once per round. Her Elder Sign effect is +2. You may move all Doom from a card at your location to another card at your location. So Doom is scary for new players, right? Yeah. Amina's probably the one in the box that you might be like, I don't get her. She's spooky. She's scary. However, her ability is very good. Just like reducing, like basically just having an emergency cache that you can just use on an asset is a very powerful effect. Mm-hmm. Especially once we get to these cards that are coming out, they're actually pretty easy to remove Doom from. Yeah. Her Elder Sign effect is also really good because you can do some cheeky things where you can move a Doom from a card you control to an enemy and then kill that enemy if that ever turns out. Like, that's kind of fun.
That would be really cool.
That would be really cool, yeah. Mm-hmm. You, like, pass the curse from them onto them. That's a cool time. Her deck building is 30 cards, Mystic 0 to 5, Neutral 0 to 5, and Charms 0 to 4. As you can see in the deck list, in our what we have to build with, the Charm is pretty small. We have that Rabbit's Foot. But it's a cool deck building thing that gets better when you get more cards. Her 2 signature cards are Word of Weal and Word of Woe. Word of Weal is a 0-cost event. It's her deck only, fast. Play when you perform a skill test on an asset with 1 or more Doom on it. Add your brain to your skill value for this test. Then, if Word of Woe is in your discard pile, you may shuffle it into your deck. Word of Woe is a 2-cost event. Fast, play only during your turn. Place 1 Doom on an asset you control to resolve an action ability on it, ignoring all of its cost, including its action cost. Then, if Word of Weal is in your discard pile, you may shuffle it into your deck.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
You can't, like, rely on them showing up, but when they show up, they're nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially because you have your 3s across the board, as we get to these assets too especially, we're going to see that you're going to try to be taking advantage of your other stats to do things, and they're going to reward you for doing that as well, and Word of Weal is another way to do it. However, if you're doing a brain test, you can still use your brain for it. There's nothing stopping you on that. I don't believe so anyway, as I'm reading the cards here and now. Her signature weakness is Deafening Silence. You move a Doom from an asset you control to the current agenda. This may cause the current agenda to advance. If no Doom is moved in this way, shuffle Deafening Silence back into your deck. It should be no surprise that a deck that interacts with Doom is going to potentially cause Doom to advance. That's just kind of
spooky.
Yeah, how it's going to be. The goal is that as you're playing this, you don't want to look at Deafening Silence. Like, it's definitely like a tougher a tougher signature weakness, but you're hoping to gain tempo with your ability that this card you should get ahead of when it happens. And then you hope that the other players you're playing with will also do that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go into the deck, and Travis, why don't you start this one?
Here we have the Rabbit's Foot, which you can play because it is a charm. Just a 1-cost accessory, and after you fail a skill test, you can exhaust the Rabbit's Foot to draw a card. You definitely could play Holy Rosary here if you want, but we're not super focused on our brain for the most part. We're going to be relying on those Doom assets that we'll see when we get to the Scarlet Keys cards. So, that in combination with the fact that you are probably going to fail the odd test every once in a while because your numbers are 3, makes Rabbit Foot a solid contender for that slot, I think. So we have Drawn to the Flame. It's a 0-cost event that draws top card in the counter deck. You discover 2 clues at your location. We've talked about this card quite often. Just a great way to get clues as compression, and it's testless. And you don't fear... You fear the Mythos deck a little bit more than your average Mystic. You only have 3 brain, but you can still manage it and get by. Emergency cash, gain 3 resources. Like, you gotta play your stuff somehow. Amina does have her reaction. But you also have events that are gonna cost you some money, and if you upgrade into things, there's a real chance they're gonna cost you more money than what your base sort of economy is. So... We have Ward Protection, 1 cost fast. When you draw a non-weakness treachery card, you cancel that card's revelation effect and take a horror. Yeah, just don't do bad things when the deck asks you to.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Yeah. Guts. Guts is good because the game is going to... For most actions during your turn, you're going to be using your book to investigate, your fist to fight, or your foot to evade things. So your brain's kind of just sitting there being like, hey, what about me? The answer to that is through the Mythos deck, where you're most commonly going to be asked to make a brain test or something bad is going to happen to you. Guts is good because it can help you defend against that. In a Mystic as well, it does, usually go up in value because you're using your brain for everything, but Amina is not going to really have that because Amina's, she's going to use her other stats as we're going to get into those cards. But it's still just a very good card that should be run in decks that don't have 1 brain. Overpower and Perception are also here because we're going to be using those stats for things, as we're going to see on the next slide here. And they'll make the number, I'm pretty sure with the items, they become 6, which are really comfortable numbers with these cards committed. And then they replace themselves, which is really cool. It's also really fun to see, a Mystic deck that can run Overpower and Perception. That's a cool time. Yeah. All right, Bryn. Why don't you talk about the
we got
4 cards?
new stuff cards. We got the Ceremonial Sickle. It's a 3-costed asset. It takes up 1 of your hand slots as an action you fight. You can use your brain or get +1 punch for the attack. In this deck, we're mostly looking at using the punch. Though, admittedly, if you have a guts in your hand, maybe it's better to use the brain. Who knows? When you initiate the ability, you choose 1. You can either exhaust it and place a Doom on it to get +1 skill value, putting you up to 5, which is pretty solid, and dealing an extra damage for the attack. Or, if the attack defeats an enemy, you remove a Doom from it. Notably, you can use this second effect even if you can't exhaust it.
Yes. Yeah.
This is true of all of these cards. So most of the time, you're just looking to use this to kill, 2 and 3 health enemies.
Yep.
It'll be a good time. If you have to fight something a little bigger than that, then it might be a little scary. But
with proper sequencing, you could definitely
you'll still it still kind of does the job.
Man, there's gonna be nothing sicker than your Clover draws a rat, a swarm of rats. You play this for 0, kill the rat, and remove the Doom. That's gonna feel sick.
Yeah. It also works against 3 health enemies where you play it for free and then you take the +1 skill value and damage and then you attack and get all the Doom off.
Yeah, and then
1 Doom.
And then my math was wrong. This actually can put you up to 7 with an overpower, which is really nice.
Yeah. Then we got the Dowsing Rod. This is second verse. Not really same as the first, but
it rhymes.
It does rhyme. It costs 4 and also takes up 1 of your hands, though clearly you need 2 hands to use it. We're going to ignore that for the time being.
No, the other hand is Carson. Carson Sinclair. As I hear Carson's let me help.
As an action you investigate, you can either use your brain or get +1 book for the investigation. When you initiate the ability, you choose 1. Either exhaust it and place a Doom on it to move to a connecting location, or if this investigation discovers the last clue at a location, remove 1 Doom from Dowsing Rod. Just a lot of potential action compression there. You ever play a Clover and wish you never had to move again?
Travis did, and then he did that.
Because this card kind of does that.
Yeah.
Then we got the Hallowed Chalice. This is a different flavor of Doom artifact that takes a hand slot. Costs 3, which is convenient. That's the number that we care about. All over this card, actually.
I hate that Dowsing Rod costs 4.
I know, right?
Shows how powerful clues are.
It doesn't even get you an extra clue.
No, it doesn't. It really probably could cost 3. It probably could.
Yeah.
But for this one, you, as an action, choose an investigator at your location and either exhaust it and place a doom on it to heal 2 damage or 2 horror from that investigator, or heal 1 damage or 1 horror from that investigator. If you heal the last damage or horror from the investigator, remove a doom from the Hallowed Chalice. This is like not technically soak, but it sure looks a whole lot like it.
Mm-hmm.
And the trade-off is just that you have to manage a little bit of doom.
Yep.
No real worries there. It should be fairly easy to remove or even generate additional points of horror or damage to remove with this to
Yeah, and like
downtick its doom.
even if like because Amina definitely lends herself to the flexing variety. Like if there's a downturn and like someone has taken a bunch of damage and like horror, you can like one turn play it for 0, add a doom to it, heal them a bunch, do it again next turn, and then replace it with something else. So that's also why we're like we have a lot of hand slots because we want to be like swapping through them.
Yeah, just just in case one of them gets a whole lot of doom on it and you don't find yourself with an easy way to deal with it.
Yep.
Playing a card that takes up that slot is also technically a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think this one's fairly easy because it's not that hard to make yourself or someone else take 1 horror or 1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And presumably, if you've had this card in play for a long time, nobody's really got damage on them anyway.
Yeah.
We've got the Onyx Pentacle. This one, it's 3 hand, action, evade, foot brain, +1 foot though. When you initiate, you pick either exhaust it and place a doom on it, and any enemy at your location or a connecting location is your target, and +1 number, just like the other ones. Or not the dowsing rod. The dowsing rod doesn't even do that. Eh? It's pretty cool.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah. The dowsing rod just is the odd man out on everything. Eh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other effect is if you succeed by 2 or more, remove a doom from it. Succeeding by 2 or more is a little bit tougher to make happen when you want it to happen than the other things are. But sometimes being able to evade an enemy at a connecting location, particularly because this can target elite enemies, can be very powerful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Travis.
Yeah, we got Living Ink. It's a 0 cost asset that takes up your body slot. No other competition for that, so not something to worry about. It's customizable. When you purchase Living Ink, you choose a skill and circle it on its upgrade sheet. The skills are the 4 symbols.
Whoa.
Wow. It uses 3 charges. You remove 1 charge from Living Ink at the start of each of your turns. If it has no charge, you discard. And it gives you a passive +1 to the chosen skill. The upgrades available for it are Shifting Ink. You can put it under the control of another investigator location. Subtle Depiction. At the start of your turn, you may choose not to remove a charge from Living Ink and ignore its ability for the remainder of the round. Endued Ink, which allows you to has an airplay with 2 additional charges and takes up an arcane slot instead of a body slot. Something we're not. I mean, neither of those slots we're using, but. We have 2 instances of Eldritch Ink, one that costs 2 experience to circle another skill, and another that costs 3 experience to circle another skill. We have Macabre Depiction for 3 experience, which gives it the reaction after revealing a Chaos token with a symbol, exhaust Living Ink to place charge on it. And finally, we have for 3 experience, Vibrancy. Gains Living Ink grants an additional +1 to the circle skill and -1 to each other skill. So here you probably want it to... So Brain's like the gimme, because all of your things can use Brain if you want. Depending on what you're doing in the game, you might want to lean into one of the other skills, though. Like it just kind of makes your skill that you're using better.
And like I think like if you just get like because you look at the imbued ink, you probably don't like even though that's like 2 additional charges is 2 more turns. Empty arcane slots are what we want here. You probably like Macabre Depiction is gonna keep this thing full. Like it'll basically like it'll make itself free pretty much every turn. It's a very nice ability on the card.
So when you're doing stuff.
Yeah, and I think also Eldritch Ink can be good too. Like if you don't do Brain, you could do like Fist and Book. Vibrancy also could be really sick.
Yeah,
right?
take Fist and Book and be like, look at me, I'm Joe Diamond.
It's a cool card though because it just passively gives it to you all the time.
Yep. Next card here we have Eldritch Initiation. It's a 1 cost event, and for each arcane slot you have, you draw a card to a maximum of 5. And for each filled arcane slot you have, you choose to discard a card from your hand. We don't ever intend to put things into arcane slots, so this is 1 cost draw 2. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have a Explosive Ward, continuing with our no arcane slot deal. An event that costs X to play, and before you play it, you may discard a number of cards from your arcane slots. You deal X damage to a non-elite enemy engaged with you. X cannot be greater than the number of empty arcane slots you have, and this action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. It's just free damage.
Yeah. We love Tesla's damage. What about this one, Travis? Why don't you take this one too?
Yeah, lastly, we have String of Curses, which is a one-cost event. It's parlay, so you can do it while you're engaged with an enemy without provoking attacks of opportunity. You choose a non-elite enemy at your location, and then choose to either automatically evade the enemy and place one doom on it, and it cannot take damage for the remainder of the round. And also, you get to discover a clue at your location, or if that enemy has one or more doom on it, you defeat it.
Oh!
Gain one resource for each doom that was on it. This is the thing that you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. Moving on to the upgrades for this deck. Starting with the core set, we have Scrying. It's a 1 cost. 3 charges, takes up a spell slot. You can exhaust it and spend a charge. Look at the top of the cards of any investigator's deck or the encounter deck. Return the top of that deck in any order. If a terror or omen card is among the looked at cards, take a horror. So you can use this for, like, obviously looking at the encounter deck to kind of pad things out, but you can also look at your deck to kind of grab what you want in the order that you want.
Yeah, this is here because you don't have access to Arcane Initiate as, like, sort of a Mystic staple to dig out the spells that you need at a given moment. So this is, like, kind of your it's definitely your closest option, just Scarlet Keys and core set. But yeah, you can churn through your deck a little bit and try and find the items that you need.
And then we have Emergency Cache, which just also now draws a card. By no means like a priority upgrade, but I've been playing with it more and more, and I love the upgraded version now. Just replaces itself. Going into the Scarlet Keys, we have the Martyr's Vambrace, otherwise known as now Prosciutto Arm, as Travis has officially decreed it so. It's a 2 cost, takes up the accessory slot. You get +1 skill value, resolving revelation abilities on encounter cards. After another investigator location draws a non-peril encounter card, before resolving that card's effects, you can exhaust it. You're considered to have drawn that encounter card instead. I mean, honestly, having 4s across the board for the Mythos phase, a lot of people would like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be pretty happy with that.
Pretty comfortable place to be.
And this is this allows you to do that. The Ceremonial Sickle, Dowsing Rod, and Onyx Pentacle upgrades just get better, as they should. The Ceremonial Sickle, now you get +3 skill value and deal +1 damage for the top action, as opposed to just +1 skill value. So that means you get to attack with 7 when you do that. And its bottom action now removes all doom from it, which is pretty sick. Dowsing Rod, still the other one, gets +2 skill value, and instead of the +0, as we've discovered.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. And if it is discovered the last clue location, you ready it and remove all doom from it. Onyx Pentacle now becomes +3. And if you succeed by 2 or more, you remove all doom from it. So basically just all the options get better.
Yep.
All right, Bryn. You just always get the customizable cards, it seems.
We got the Binder's Jar for 1 XP and 2 money. This is an item and a relic. It takes up your accessory slot. So if you're going to play this, you probably want to trade it out for your Rabbit's Feet. But you get +1 arcane slot for each enemy beneath Binder's Jar. What does that mean? Let's get to it. As a reaction effect, after a non-elite enemy is defeated at your location, you can place that enemy face down beneath the Binder's Jar. Limit 2 enemies beneath it, because it's not actually that big of a jar. And as a reaction effect, when an enemy attacks you, you can discard an enemy beneath the Binder's Jar that shares a trait with the attacking enemy to cancel that attack. This card is really strong with the cards that care about your empty arcane slots.
Yeah.
Because 4 is, if my math is correct, twice as big as 2.
Play your Eldritch Initiation, just draw 4 cards for 1 money.
That seems good.
Like, that seems pretty good. Even 4 money, just like blow a guy up.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to play with any cards that do actually take up your arcane slots, still just having 3 empty ones is very strong for those cards. I mean, like, you might. There was Scrying. There's this Summoned Servitor that we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah, okay. That guy does take up an arcane slot. You're right.
Yeah.
Man, when you said, what does that mean? Let's get to it. I'm going to say, what does it mean? Don't interrupt me.
Yeah. I said no questions.
Yeah.
We got the Summoned Servitor. Worth noting, the Binder's Jar and the Summoned Servitor are both unique, so you can only have one of them in play. for probably balance reasons, honestly.
Also play summon servitors so you don't like have a
Yeah.
fucking stroke while playing.
What do you mean it's not balanced for you to be able to just hold 4 enemies hostage for the encounter?
Yeah, right? Like, there's some scenarios where you're just like, there are no enemies in the deck.
It's like search for a cultist. You have like 3 cultists,
You're
and
just like, oh,
which of
no.
the order in your binding charge? You're like, I don't know,
They're
man.
gone.
I don't tell you.
They just left. Yeah. The Summon Servitor is a 2-costed asset. It's a summon. It takes up your ally slot and an arcane slot. And it's customizable. As an additional cost to play Summoned Servitor, you must discard another asset you control.
Like something
Which,
with Doom.
yeah, I mean, like, really, that's mostly not actually a cost.
Yeah.
But whatever. It enters play at your location. It can take 1 action during each of your turns, which can only be used to take the following actions. The action on the card is move Summon Servitor to a connecting revealed location. Now, that doesn't inherently do anything, and you're right, it doesn't. We're going to have to take a look at the second card here. The Summon Servitor's customizable sheet. For 1 XP, you can buy an Armored Carapace. It gains a health value of 3, and it can be assigned damage dealt to any investigator at its location. So, moving it around now has a purpose. It's got the Claws that catch. As an action, it can fight. You fight any enemy at its location with a base value of 4, ignoring the aloof and retaliate keywords for this attack. Which is kind of neat. You can just have this guy show up and be like, I do not like whippoorwills. Kill any whippoorwill.
He's just
that
hunting
ever
whippoorwills
comes
in the
here."
tree. Yeah.
Yeah, like they all suck. I hate them. I'll trade you this rabbit's foot.
Kill the birds.
Yeah, just like all of them forever.
Yeah.
And we've got the Jaws that snatch. Add this action, evade. You attempt to evade an enemy at this location with a base of 4. Ignore the alert keyword for this evasion attempt, because he doesn't have any health, so it wouldn't do anything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Eyes of Flame. Add this action, investigate. You investigate with a base
Now we're
value of
talking.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, an extra investigate action every turn, which is pretty okay. Wings of Night. After it moves from your location to a connecting location, you may move to that location as well.
Let's go.
Which, yeah, I mean, like, seems pretty solid if this is the card you want to play with, because clearly you want to be at or close to its location all the time.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
I don't know. We got Dominance. Summon Servitor no longer takes up Circle 1, Arcane, or Ally slot. Both good options. For 3, we got Dreaming Call. Instead of discarding another asset you control in order to play Summon Servitor, you may return that asset to its owner's hand, which is even more powerful if you're using it on an asset that has a lot of Doom because you've been using it for a thing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty sweet with
Because
the
you can
living
just-
ink too.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
just, like, reset it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go
definitely.
again. And then we've got Demonic Influence, which is what, that's got to be like an Ash rune, right?
Yeah. Demonic.
Anyway, this one costs a ton of XP, but it can take 2 different actions instead of just 1 every turn,
Let's go.
which is actually, again, like twice as many.
Yeah.
If the math, like, I'm pretty sure they say not to do math on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like kind of cool. It's
Yeah.
got a lot of things going on. It's like, I will admit that even like I've been playing this game for infinity time
Yeah, a long time.
since it existed, I guess. And even I'm kind of like, that's a lot of stuff to keep track of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Armored Carapace is actually a trap on this.
Yeah, because then it can die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get like arrows from the trees or something like that, and your summon server dies, and you're like,
He's not an ally asset.
oh, he's a summon, you're right.
Yeah.
Takes an ally slot though, interesting.
Yeah.
I would yeah, I mean
it's like the
Okay.
difference between like him and Baron
Baron
Sandy.
Sandy, yeah.
Yeah.
honestly just give
Like, they're not
me
allies.
Eyes of Flame and like that's all I want. I just want an
It
extra
seems
investigate each turn.
Yeah, no complaints.
Yeah.
Put one
Yeah,
experience
even
in this, so
the-
you're feeling happy.
Either that or just like that, I would like to never move again.
Yes, that's also the Wings of Night, yeah.
Or both. I mean, that's like 2 experience. That's a pretty good card you
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah, and if you do that and take the demonic influence, then
Oh, let's
you
fucking
can do both.
let's like go Daisy. She just rides around on this thing and she's just like woo.
Let's go.
And then you use your last 2 on dominance, so it doesn't take up ally slots. So you can still play Dr. Milan, because then you investigate a 5 a turn. Ooh, that sounds great.
You can accomplish most of these just by playing Safeguard level 2, Justin.
Yeah. Not in Daisy.
Not
No,
these.
that's-
No, but then you just play Pathfinder, and then you're golden.
You just play Pathfinder.
Yeah, I think that one, like, scenario dependent or campaign dependent, even the like fight with a base value of 4 could be
Yep.
very strong,
Yep.
depending on what you're playing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I've talked about this card enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about an Astral Mirror, which is another 3-costed out. Like, we care about 3s.
We do.
It's a body slot. For each of your arcane slots that are empty, you have 1 additional hand slot. You know, like for the other cards that we use.
Mhm.
You may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to play an asset into one of your hand slots. Again, that's like part of the thing that we do.
Yeah.
It's kind of sweet.
And then also the
It's just
additional
Yeah.
action that comes from it is just like juicy.
Man, how many hand slots could you fill up though with this and like Binder's Jar? And just like carrying two ritual candles, but also like the rest of your kit.
Yeah. That does seem sick. That does seem fun.
Like,
That's pretty
let's
good.
go.
We have El Rubash. She's Purifying Purpose. 3 cost. There's the magic number again. 2 experience. Takes up the ally slot. She soaks for 1 and 2. You get +2 skill value resolving a skill test on an attached asset. 1 doom on each attached asset does not count towards the agenda doom's threshold. You can exhaust her as a lightning bolt to choose an asset in your play area with 1 or more doom on it, attach it to her, or swap it with an attached asset. So you just like get you put like give her your ceremonial sickle and then you fight even better with it. Or she could be the other hand on your dowsing rod.
Yeah. Oh, I said stab that guy better.
Yeah. Notably that the assets still take up their slots, but the doom doesn't count on them, which is really nice. We have Sin Eater, which is a permanent exceptional, so it costs you 6 experience. You can exhaust it as a lightning bolt to move 1 doom from an asset you control to Sin Eater, then either ready that asset, like with the ceremonial sickle with the dowsing rod, or place 1 charge on it. And then as an action, you can just remove all the doom from Sin Eater. Good card. Very good card.
Yep.
And if you're going to be wanting to like use your ceremonial sickles or your dowsing rods over and over and over again, this can be a very good tool for that. We have Moonlight Ritual, 0 cost, 2 experience event, fast, play only during your turn, remove all doom from a non-elite card at your location. So you can say, hey, enemy with doom on it, no more. You can say, hey, dowsing rod with doom on it, no more. You can say, hey, location with doom on it, no more. And that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can also like, if you're playing like with Marie Lambeau, you can be like, hey, Marie, lose your action, get out of here.
Yeah.
She's
Marie puts
two
a
turns.
doom on her investigator card to make it hard to remove. Like,
Spends 2 turns taking Baron Sanity. You're like,
Yeah, get out of here. He's my friend. We have Uncaged the Soul, 0 cost, 3 experience. You may discard a spell or ritual asset you control, and you can play a spell or ritual card from your hand or discard, and reducing its resource cost by 3.
This one's not super versatile for Amina, but you do have like a handful of spells that you might want. This is more like play your one-shot spells at your discard pile.
Yeah.
I think Explosive Ward is a spell, and being able to reduce the cost of that by 3 is pretty sick.
And I mean, too, like, Uncaged the Soul gets better when you get a bigger collection, too, for her as well, because there's some other spells that you can actually take advantage of with that further.
Yeah.
All right. That's Amina. She seems fun. I'm excited to play with her and see what comes up with her.
Just neat.
It's just nice to have a mystic that's not just I played the spell, I used the spell. It's gonna be fun. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and found these new player guides helpful. We'll be back next expansion for more new player guides. Wow, I'm assuming I'm still here.
Yeah.
I could just go.
You could just stop.
Yeah, I could just stop.
You just run away.
Yeah, could you imagine? Julie calls you like, "Where's Justin?" And you'd be like, "Oh, he ran away."
You're like, why are you calling me?
Well, because it's like Wednesday night. Like I'm gonna be gone like right at the end of recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thanks for supporting the channel. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.